Welcome to the Evidence Informed Teaching Podcast. Are you a teacher wanting to improve your classroom practice and deliver excellent teaching through access to research? Do you have a passion for teaching and are looking to connect with other like-minded colleagues through professional discussions? The Chartered College has partnered with Teacher Tapp to support teachers to deliver excellent teaching through access to research, and we invite you to be part of this community. On this podcast, you will hear from fellow teachers, research experts, and you have the opportunity to be part of this professional discussion. You can find out more about the Chartered College of Teaching and Teacher Tapp in the show notes. And if you find this episode helpful, why not share it with a teacher friend, take a screenshot and post it on your social media, or even better, leave us a 5-star written review.
Hello, welcome to your monthly summary of Teacher Tapp findings. I'm Karen Wespieser, and I'm going to be guiding you through some of the top topics that tappers have tapped. This month we've had nearly 10,000 teachers tapping each day, so you can trust that this data is a nationally representative view of what teachers in England think. It was Eddie Izzard who famously proposed the hypothetical conundrum, cake or death. And whilst that question might have an easy answer, for me at least, this month on Teacher Tapp we've been looking at some trickier hypothetical questions. So in today's podcast, rather than my normal top 5 findings, I'm going to look at my top hypothetical findings from Teacher Tapp. But first, why do we ask hypothetical questions? So, hypothetical questions get teachers thinking and talking. If we just asked, would you like a pay rise? Then you'll say yes. If we ask you, would you like more TA support in class? You'll say yes. And we've not learnt much. A forced choice makes it interesting. Would you rather a £1,000 pay rise or 5 extra hours of TA support a week? We're all in favour of nice things, but we find it harder and therefore I think more interesting to choose between them. In this case, we've actually asked this question. We asked teachers what would they have preferred when they were an NQT, and we found that 6 in 10 teachers said they'd rather have a salary boost instead of a TA. Secondly, hypothetical questions allow us to tap into values and beliefs. For example, how much do teachers really care about academisation? Across the diverse experience of 450,000 teachers in over 20,000 schools, it's hard to know. So we asked teachers if, offered a job in 2 otherwise identical schools, they would prefer to teach in an academy, a maintained school, or would just toss a coin to choose between the two. When we last asked this question, 7 in 10 teachers preferred a maintained school, 2 in 10 didn't mind, and just 1 in 10 preferred an academy. Why is that useful to know? Well, hypothetically speaking, let's say the government is looking to make a big change and improve the education system. Let's imagine they're going to delay HS2 until 2059 and have saved £1 billion, and that billion is going to education. We think it would be useful for the government to know where teachers believe the money should go. And so we've asked, and we found in this case 43% of teachers would spend the extra billion on a pay rise for teachers. 32% talked about spending it on mental health support, and just 2% said they'd spend it on tutoring. We gave other options, but I picked out some interesting ones there. So those are some of the reasons why we ask questions on Teacher Tapp in sometimes what might feel like quite an unusual way, but it helps us to get that greater depth of understanding about what teachers think. So let's move on and look at 2 of the hypothetical questions we've used this month to find out teachers' views. Hypothetical number 1. What matters more, autonomy or behaviour? Based on a suggestion from a teacher tapper on Twitter, we tested whether teachers care more about autonomy or behaviour in schools. The specific question we asked was, Which of these two schools would you choose to teach at if you had to? School A uses scripted lessons and prescribed resources that you must use, and they have fully supported behaviour systems. School B allows full teaching autonomy. It's well resourced, but there is no significant behaviour support. So School A, scripted prescribed lessons, but with lots of behavioural support. School B, lots of autonomy, but no behaviour support. Surprisingly, to us at Teacher Tapp anyway, the results were incredibly close. 52% of teachers prioritised autonomy and 48 prioritised behaviour support. 52-48. We had loads of suggestions on our social channels as to what could be driving this. Did priorities change with age, for example, or between primary and secondary? We dug into the details and we found that older and more experienced teachers seem to care more about autonomy. So the majority of teachers who are in their 20s prioritise behaviour support, whilst the majority of teachers in their 50s and older prioritised autonomy. When we looked at phase, secondary teachers were more bothered by behaviour. So primary teachers prioritised autonomy, secondaries prioritised behaviour support. And then an interesting one, teachers who self-define themselves as traditional, trads, you might imagine that they are all about the discipline, but they are, not quite as much as you'd think. So 55% of teachers who describe themselves as traditional prioritise behaviour, whereas 57% of teachers who describe themselves as progressive or progs prioritised autonomy. Delightfully, teachers who said they were neither trad nor prog split almost perfectly. That was a 51-49% split in favour of autonomy. A question attracts a 52-48 split in results. You can be sure that it will arouse some passions, and we got lots of comments back on it. We were told by tappers that it was a surprising result, that it was really interesting, but some people also told us that they felt it was unanswerable and doesn't give any value. We'd like to refute that. We know it was answerable because 95% of our 9,000 plus teacher tappers took the time to answer it. Just 5% chose the not applicable, cannot answer response option, which is always on our questions, by the way. We also think that the answers have a value because without this question, we wouldn't know that teachers value autonomy about as much as behaviour. That the desire for autonomy or the confidence/skepticism about behaviour support increases with age, and that traditional teachers don't necessarily want tightly constrained schools. I found all of that quite interesting. But let's look at another example. Hypothetical number 2. So this second hypothetical question from the month asked teachers to decide between two different educational programs. One program is guaranteed to get top grades for 80% of your pupils, but lower grades for 20%. Another option of this program is that it gets median grades for all of the pupils. And then the third option is that you'd get a distribution. So 60% of pupils get the top grade, 30% medium, 10% the lowest. Let me just go over that one more time. Option 1 is that 80% of your pupils get great grades, but 20% get poor ones. Option 2 is that everyone gets a medium grade. And option 3 is that there's a distribution where 60% get the top, 30% medium, 10% lowest. Why do we look at this? Well, there are a few reasons. Initiatives are increasingly reviewed for their impact. And as professionals, teachers are often faced in a situation where they have to pick an intervention. And the evidence that you look at will suggest, perhaps, that it could do one of these three things. Are they actually all equally acceptable? Does it matter if 20% of kids are going to get a lowest grade? Or would it be better for everyone to get a median grade? How important, how acceptable is this? So let's have a look at the results. The two main preferences were for the latter two options. So either everyone gets the same grade, the median grade for all pupils, or that students have a distribution where around 60% get the top grade, 30% the middle, 10% the lowest. Very few teachers felt that it was acceptable for 80% to get the high grade at what could be called the cost of the 20% getting the lowest grade. We found that quite interesting because the third option, where you had the distribution between 60, 30, 10, doesn't seem that fair, but it was by far a lot more popular than one where it was 80, 20. Why is this? Well, that's one thing these questions don't answer. We don't know, but we'd love to hear your thoughts. You can get in touch with us on our social channels at Teacher Tapp. A cheeky extra question on this one. We also looked at what course teachers would take if they were the participant rather than the teacher. Loads of teachers stuck to their guns on that second option, saying that everyone should get the medium grade and that would be the best programme for them if they were the learner, as well as if they were the teacher. But there were more this time who said they would risk going for the 80-20 split. Discussing this on Twitter, several teachers said that they were happier taking the chance for themselves as they'd be more in control of their understanding, which I guess makes sense. So those were two amazing hypothetical questions that we asked this month on Teacher Tapp. I do want to just give you a couple more of my favourites though. Admittedly not asked this month, but they're so interesting that I've just pulled out a couple more findings for you. 57% of teachers would rather work in a school with high workload and impeccable behaviour, compared to 43% who would rather work somewhere where there was very low workload but poor behaviour. Next one. More teachers would take a class on a trip to Alton Towers than the National Portrait Gallery. The school building improvement that teachers would most like to see is air conditioning. The colour that teachers want their classroom painted is white. But kudos to the 4% of teachers who said they wanted it to be pink or purple. And most teachers would choose cake over death. Okay, you've caught me. We didn't actually ask that last one, but we're still pretty confident on it. And that's it for this month. Let me know if there are any topics you think we should explore or questions you think we ought to ask on Teacher Tapp, hypothetical or not. You can find more information on the topics discussed today, including lots of cool charts on the Teacher Tapp blog at teachertapp.co.uk. And if you haven't already, you can find Teacher Tapp in your App Store or Play Store. Download it and get tapping.
If you have enjoyed today's episode and would like to access more research evidence for your classroom, you can join the Chartered College of Teaching for as little as $1.96 per month at www.chartered.college. And remember to download Teacher Tapp free from your app or Play Store to share your views, opinions, and experiences from the classroom. Every voice makes the picture clearer.